Top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum blast MATCHROOM CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn for putting Anthony Joshua in an immediate rematch for Andy Ruiz. Stay tuned, coming up next.
Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum blasts MATCHROOM CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn for putting his fighter Anthony Joshua, who was the former unified heavyweight champion of the world, back in the ring with Andy Ruiz Jr., who is the current unified heavyweight champion of the world and the first Mexican in boxing history to win the heavyweight title. In doing so, he beat Anthony Joshua last Saturday, June 1st at Madison Square Garden in New York. Bob Arum says this just goes to show the lack of knowledge that Eddie Hearn has for the sport of boxing. Why would you put your fighter back in there immediately with a guy who seems like a bad stylistic matchup? He says now, we know that Andy Ruiz Jr., seemed to not take the sport serious. He has very fast hands, he has very fast feet, but he just can't, he doesn't pack a punch. So Bob Arum is stating that you just never put him back in there with the same fighter, or else he'll never be the same. He says that it would be one thing if Anthony Joshua lost via decision, but he was stopped and he was embarrassed. He was dropped 4 times and he was stopped in the 7th round. So Bob Arum is stating that, a fighter is never the same after that. He says he compared him to a couple of fighters. He said that, there was a couple of fighters in the history of the sport of boxing, that looked like they were the next best thing. And then you put them in there with a fight that they're supposed to win, and they lose, and they're never the same. He gave an example. He said, for one, everybody used to compare this guy to Sugar Ray Leonard. He was a champion. His name was Donald Curry. He said, we put him in the ring with a guy called Lloyd Hunnigan, right? A guy he could get a win against. And Hunnigan was like a 40-1 underdog. Curry didn't show up and got beat. I remember Hunnigan rolling around on the canvas after the fight. Curry was never the same. He was brilliant. He looked like he was unbeatable. Then Hunnigan beat him, and Curry never recovered. Mike McCullum then knocked him out. He was never the same fighter. That is what could happen to Anthony Joshua, right? He cited that Mike Tyson was also an example. He says that once you lose that aura of invincibility, guys are gonna come right at you, right? He says, forget about the titles, quote, forget about the titles will always be there. Joshua is a great personality. He shouldn't go back in there with Andy Ruiz. A real boxing guy would tell you that. Unfortunately, his promoter is not that guy. Is not a boxing guy. Wow, talking about Eddie Hearn, right? He says, but could Joshua rebuild and be the same force? No, he'll never be the same, Arum said. He could never beat Ruiz, but he'll never be the same. He says, even if there's a possibility he can beat Ruiz, he says he still will never be the same. He says so much of boxing is mental. Opponents will never give him the same respect he would have gotten before. Nobody could beat Mike Tyson until Buster Douglas. Then guys like Evander Holyfield realized that they have a chance of beating Mike Tyson because they weren't intimidated. When Tyson became a professional, I booked Tyson every other week, and they were all 1-round knockouts because I look across the ring and opponents' legs would be shaking. They would be scared. Tyson had built up a reputation. Once he was beaten, that reputation diminished, and the fighters have a lot more confidence going into the fight. So he says that, he says if you put him in there with Ruiz, it's silly. If it was a 12-round fight and Ruiz had won on points, that would be different. But a loss is devastating, is a devastating way to lose to Ruiz. See, so then he says he got beat and knocked out. It wasn't a lucky punch. He got knocked down 4 times. Don't put him in there with the same guy until you've rebuilt him and rebuilt his confidence back up, right? So he's stating that, you got to put him in a ring with guys that he could beat. You got to put him in the ring with guys that he could beat and rebuild up his confidence, right? So he's stating that, putting him back in there with Andy Ruiz Jr. right now is just absolutely foolish. But a guy like Eddie Hearn wouldn't know any better, right? So a guy like Eddie Hearn would do such things because he's not experienced in the sport of boxing. He's just not qualified. This is what Bob Arum had to say about Eddie Hearn putting Anthony Joshua back in the ring with Andy Ruiz Jr. immediately. I agree with him. Most of the boxing world agrees. George Foreman agrees. Sugar Ray Leonard agrees. There's plenty of former and current champions that agree. Andre Ward, just to name a few. Lennox Lewis. You know, there's plenty of guys that think that Anthony Joshua should not be going back in the ring with Andy Ruiz Jr. immediately. That's just not a smart move. It seems like a bad matchup for Anthony Joshua stylistically. In boxing, styles make fights, and Andy Ruiz seems to be a bad style matchup for Anthony Joshua. So I agree 1,000% with Bob Arum. So let me know what y'all think, man. That's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Do Bob Arum have a point? Is Eddie Hearn making a mistake? We'll find out. But we know one thing though, as Eddie Hearn stated, Anthony Joshua lose again, his career could be over, and Matchroom as a whole could be in grave danger, right? Because we know Anthony Joshua is the cash cow over there with Matchroom Sports, point blank and period. So they lose their cash cow. He still has fighters like Demetrius Andre. He still has Katie Taylor and a few other fighters, Caleb Smith. But are they going to carry the promotional company? Are they going to carry the banner? That's yet to be seen. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Road. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Blue Blood Sport TV, baby, from the